Hey, this is Carl Brown from GuitarLessons365.com with a guitar lesson series for Jellynote. In this lesson, we're going to learn how to play the main riff to Don't Cry by Guns N' Roses. And along the way, we're going to learn the concept of arpeggio picking, which is basically picking across chords one string at a time. Now, interactive tabs for this lesson can be found in the description of this video. Now, Jellynote has thousands of interactive tabs and sheet music in sync with videos just like this one. I suggest you check it out. So let's take a look at this opening riff. We are tuned down a half step here. So we haven't really talked about that yet, but E flat tuning is used a lot in rock music. So it's something that you want to be familiar with when the occasion arises. Now the easiest way is to grab like a chromatic tuner. When we talked about the tuning before, you should know what that is. But what you basically do is you tune every string down a half step. So if it's an E string, you tune it down to E flat. And an A string tunes down to A flat. And you do that for every single string. So the chords still work the same. Since every string was tuned down the exact same distance, all the chords that we know still work fine. Except now they sound a half step lower. And it's used a lot in rock music. Not only does it give it a slightly fuller, bigger sound, but it also helps the vocalist, usually male vocalist who can't hit the high notes. So they tune all the music just down a half pitch. Sometimes they'll tune down a whole step. So you'll see that as well. But by far the most common alter tuning in rock and metal is tuning down a half step. So that's what we're going to be doing here. I'll write those notes out in the description of the video and on the tab that you'll get with this video, so you'll know exactly what notes to tune to. So let's start here. We're going to start with just a quick little pickup note that I'm going to play the 3rd fret on the low E string by itself. So you just kind of want to think of it as this kind of a little bit of an outlier. It doesn't really have anything to do with the chord progression that we're going to do. It's just something they did to start this song. Now what I want you to do is grab an A minor chord. Now, as you grab the A minor chord, we're going to start to arpeggio pick it, which means pick one string at a time. But as you pick, you're going to keep holding the notes that you just played, and it creates this nice, full, more complex sound. So what I'm doing here is I'm picking the A string with a downstroke, then another downstroke on the D, and then a downstroke on the G, then an upstroke on the high E string, upstroke on the B, and an upstroke on the G. And then I'm going to pick up the chord and get ready for the next chord, which is a D minor chord. And when I did that, I'm going to do an upstroke, another upstroke on the open D string now that I lifted up the chord. So we have this. Alright, so now the rule for this style of picking, generally what I like to tell students to do, is to always pick in the direction of the next string that you're going to pick. So in this case, I'm picking the 5th string, and the next string I need to hit is the 4th, or the D string. So I'm going to pick in the direction of that string. Same thing here for the D string. The next string I want to pick is the G, so I'm going to pick in that direction. Now when I pick the G string, I'm going to pick a downstroke as well, since the next string I'm going to pick is the high E string. Now the high E string I'm going to pick with an upstroke because that takes me in the direction of the next string, which is the B string. And then I continue that upstroke since I'm going up through the strings. So we have that. So after you practice this a little bit, always picking in the direction of the next string that you're gonna pick, that is going to become second nature to you, and it's going to be the most economical way to play this style of picking. So what I'm going to do here is we're going to pick the A minor. I'm going to pick up there after that G string. I'll hit an upstroke on the D string, but I have the D string open. While I hit that note, I'm going to grab a D minor chord, and now I'm going to pick across a D minor. I'm going to start and pick now a downstroke on that open D. So down on the D, down on the G, down on the B. You'll see these picking indications on the tab. And then upstroke starting on the high E string again. Still holding that D minor chord. And then you're going to keep going down here all the way to the A string. And hit that open A. It's a little bit difficult. Now while you're picking that open A string though, that gives you the chance to grab the next chord, which is a G major chord. Now we're going to pick across the G major. So there was another open string in there. I'll stop right there. So that's just picking from the 6th string now. All downstrokes across the G, then up, and then an upstroke on the open A, which you're going to pick, just gives you a chance to jump to the next chord, which is going to be simply placing one finger at the 3rd fret on the A string. So one finger on the 3rd fret of the A, you're going to pick that down, then the open D, then an upstroke on the G string, because we want to come back towards the A string for the next note, which basically means you're gonna go down to the 2nd fret on the A. So I just go from the 2nd finger to the 1st. And then we're just gonna play 2 notes on the same string. So I can play them both downstrokes. And that takes us back to the A minor, which we picked the same way. Same D minor. And then grab that G. Now this time when you do the G, just go down, 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 up. You're picking from the 6th across to the low E to across to the G string. And then you have a little 2, 3, 4, all downstrokes on the low E. And then the A power chord, which is open A with the 2nd fret there on the D. Alright, so this style of picking takes a little getting used to because you're holding a chord, but you're doing all the activity is really going on in the right hand, and then all of a sudden you have to do a quick little chord change, and then once again focus on the right hand and be more accurate. This also is going to build a lot of technique for you because you get to really, to master this technique, you got to feel where every string is at. And you will very quickly, there's only 6 strings there, so very quickly your pick figures out where they're all at. So you're not always watching yourself, but in the beginning you probably have to watch it a little bit. All right, but if you master this technique, you'll be able to really be able to do a lot of cool stuff. Just play any chord that you've learned already and just try to pick all the way up and all the way down. So you can just grab a C major chord. Down, 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 up, 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 up. So you just have fun with the chords that you've already learned by just picking through them like that. And your hand will start to memorize where those strings are at. All right, I hope you enjoyed it. Make sure you subscribe to this channel to check out the next lesson. I'll see you then.